We've never seen Taliban here. There is no place for them to stay here, and we will not allow them to come here. We are refugees here. Yes, Taliban were in our previous place. Here, there is no Taliban.
We're in the village now, right in the middle of the village, which, to hear some of the people talking before the operation, was painted as a Taliban stronghold. It, in fact, seems to be a kind of rural idyll, although, of course, appearances can be deceptive.
And indeed, the soldiers are right to be suspicious, for while most people who live in Changolak are peaceful families, experience suggests that insurgents may be lurking too.
Most towns like this will immediately say there's no Taliban there because they want us to quickly try to leave, and they don't want the Taliban to see them. You know, because anybody that's seen associating with, you know, coalition and ANSF forces, you know, it normally doesn't work out too good for them.
As searches go on, bit by bit, the Marines start to uncover many weapons in the village.
Seems like they fired mortars from inside here.
There are mortar bombs or shells that could be used to make IEDs, and lots of small arms are found too. The finds lead to several arrests. The Marines insist they have some significant players. Certainly, after the weapons finds, villagers and Marines regard one another in a different light. Day 2 of Operation Angry Cobra comes to an end.
You know, a lot of communities around here have had Taliban influence. They've absolutely oppressed the people. The people have been very afraid of them, and rightfully so, with the tactics that they use. So, you know, we're just now starting a relationship with these people. I mean, it's only a couple hours old at this point, about 12. It will take a little bit of time for them to gain trust from us, and also to realize that we're going to put a presence there and keep some sort of presence there over time.
The following morning, and the assault on Pakistani alley goes in. It starts with tank fire against suspected positions. Then, a further string of mine-clearing charges to blow through any IEDs in the way. The Marines cross the Wadi from the Changolak side to Pakistani alley, fighting from east to west. From then on, it's another day of house-to-house clearance.
Well, the capture of Pakistan alley has pretty much concluded this operation. The Marines never quite got the fight they were looking for, and of course that was quite a sensible course of action from the point of view of the local insurgents. Now I think the real questions surround what happens in the coming months. The Americans are going to establish patrol bases, but at the moment there aren't enough Afghan troops and police to man those bases, so it'll still be Americans doing it. The Taliban are bound to try and come back and hit them, and the question must remain, how quickly could sizable numbers of Afghan security forces be brought up here?
We watched as helicopters threaded their way up the valley, yawing one way and then the other to dodge ground fire. Their mission was to pick up detainees. By the end of the fighting phase of Operation Angry Cobra, the Marines were saying they'd killed a dozen insurgents, detained a similar number, and found scores of IEDs and other weapons. But had many of the Taliban given the Marines the slip?
I think they were kind of caught flat-footed, didn't really know what to expect. I think they were expecting a slower build-up, not quite as many troops on the deck at one time. So a lot of the enemy, you know, kind of threw down their weapons and kind of tried to meld back into the locals there in Changolak, and then there's others that tried to, you know, that definitely left the area.
There are all sorts of potential problems with the strategy that's being applied here. The Afghan forces plainly are not on the same timetable as the Americans, and bringing them up to the point where they can exert a real influence here is going to be very, very tough. the aggression that's being used could also be very counterproductive in such a conservative, rural Pashtun society. But that same drive is there in such quantity and with such determination that if NATO forces are to have a chance of getting on top of this insurgency and beating it back, the next year will be decisive.
Operation Angry Cobra has shown the shape of things to come. There'll be more American operations against more centres of opposition. But it's in the nature of the Taliban's war that they will fight back in less spectacular but no less lethal ways.